Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classics slash non-classics. This is episode number 816, Doubleshot number 710. Yeah, this is the episode where I'm going to talk about two of the most controversial Spider-Man storylines of all time. And these storylines, not only controversial, they're hated, they're despised. The only thing good about these two stories is, in fact, they have good artwork. That's the only thing good about these stories, is the artwork. Yeah, the only thing that's good. First up is the most hated. A lot of people hate this storyline, and I mentioned this in one of my last review, that I would do this. My friend Tivy is looking forward to basically my thoughts on this thing, even though my thoughts have basically pretty much been mostly the same. I mean, it's been 11 years since this storyline was released. A crossover between three Spider-Man books, one of whom actually had two issues part of this thing, basically bookending this story. What is this story? SpiderMan, One More Day, a.k.a. Joe Quesada hates the marriage of Spider-Man and Mary Jane Watson. Yep. The first three issues are written by J. Michael Straczynski, which this is actually technically the end of his era on Amazing Spider-Man, who have been writing this book since 2001. Yeah, he been book for 6 years, and this is how he goes out. Yeah, this book crossovers, get this. Amazing Spider-Man 544 to 545. The final issue, though, the book is coming back, of Friendly Neighborhood Spider number 24, the only issue of the first volume, not written by Peter Dave, because I heard the series come back written by Tom Taylor. And the final issue of Sensational Spider-Man, Volume 2, issue number 41. Joe Quesada does the artwork for pretty much this whole thing, and no one can deny Joe Quesada is a good artist. The guy's a terrible writer. Yes, the most hated storyline. This storyline is 11 years old. When this storyline finished, I was almost considered not reading any more new Spider-Man books after this because I really just didn't care for the storyline at all. Now, like most people who hate Joe Quesada, I don't like him very much. I mean, yeah. In the case of Joe Quesada, this is actually one of two very controversial things he did. Unlike Alex Alonso, who had a boatload of controversies when he was Tensure, at least Quesada only limited his stuff to two, this piece of garbage, and of course, stripping 90% of mutants of their powers. Yeah, that was another thing that did receive some controversy, but not as much as this. Oh God, no. I know that Joe Quesada got, let's see, he was booed out of a Q&A. Yeah, he was booed. Yeah. Now I gotta ask. Now, as far as I can tell, JMS was forced to do this. Yes, he was forced to do this by the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics himself, Joe Quesada, at that point. Now, Quesada himself left. He actually stopped being editor-in-chief 4 years after the storyline came out. He did. And this storyline started this stupid thing of this last 11 years of Spider-Man and Mary Jane Watson not being married. I know Frank Edgar thought it was okay that they were trying to move on, but the way they did in here was stupid. I mean, my God, was it stupid. Almost everybody knows the story about this thing. Yeah, stretching back to Civil War I. May Park gets shot in the aftermath, so Spider-Man puts on his black costume for a brief period of time. Also in this story, he gets beat up. Iron Man gets his ultimate version of himself. By the way, the way the pencil issue is written here, it insults almost everybody who's a fan of pop culture. Yes, that's how badly written it is. And according to what I've heard, that's exactly how JMS wanted to write it. There's nothing altering here. I mean, he didn't write the finale. The finale was all Quesada himself. Yes. I don't want to talk much about this storyline because this storyline has been talked to death. I know Linkar talked about this particular thing on his 200th episode. As a matter of fact, he burned the trade later on. I mean, I would probably burn this because of how much I do not like this storyline and how much really bad it is. I can't burn it. Simply because it's not my property. It's the property of my local library. They own this trade. I'm sure that nobody owns this particular trade. And what they probably did, probably either shredded it, burned it, or probably just threw it in the trash because of how awful this storyline is. The artwork, I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. The artwork is really top notch. What do I give the story? A 2 out of 10. Yes, my lowest rating I've ever give any particular storyline on here. And for the next few years, people begged Marvel to undo this piece of garbage. So, they came up with this. Amazing Spider-Man One Moment at a Time, aka Omit. Written, collecting Amazing Spider-Man 638 to 641. Written by Joe Quesada. Artwork also by Quesada. And Danny Mickey and Richard Ilsov, I think I pronounced the person's name. Pablo Rivera does the artwork in here as well. Now, they also throw in issues from the classic Amazing Spider-Man 21 issue. Amazing number 21. Where it was written by Jim Shooter and Dave Michelini and artwork by Paul Ryan. I'm sure Jim Shooter doesn't like the fact that a story that he basically wrote was undone by I wouldn't call him a stupid man. I would not call Joe Quesada a stupid man. Simply put, a guy who likes the stuff that was going on before he got married. Yes, and from what I've heard about this particular storyline, after begging and pleading Marvel to undo One More Day, they instead came up with this, and the way it was described, and of course the way I read it and reread it recently, yeah, it's a middle finger to everybody who wants One More Day undone. Yep, yeah, and of course they give kind of an explanation of what was Mary Jane talking about back in One More Day. Yeah, the dialogue is really stupid. Yeah, Tuck was like, oh yeah, no one remembered this except Peter, except myself. Oh yeah, and also here's something really weird. Apparently there's one other person beside Mary Jane Watson who does remember the marriage. And this is a surprise. Not a surprise much to anybody. Deadpool surprisingly remembers the fact that Mary Jane and Peter Parker were married. Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, how does the ultimate history of what happened in Amazing Spider-Man number 1, how did it went down, and how was the marriage prevented? Well, how about having an overweight man fall on Spider-Man and make him miss his damn wedding? Yes, seriously. This is a very piece of lazy writing. I mean, come on. A man falls on Spider-Man and Spider-Man just can't just pick him up. The guy's got super strength. Yes, Spider-Man can lift up a car. He can lift up partially a building. But he can't lift no weight man off him who's falling on top of him. I mean, seriously, this was stupid. By the way, this guy was an escaped convict. Yeah, and the way it's shown in here, that the reason why he was able to break out was because of Mephisto. Yes, Mephisto interfered in the timeline. Yep, so Spider-Man Peter and Mary Jane broke up because of this stupid nonsense. Yep. Oh, and I should point out, though, there were some good things that came out of this piece of garbage. One of whom, and is shown in here, that they actually fixed the problem of Spider-Man unmasking. Yeah, they had Doctor Strange cast a spell on the entire planet, with the exception... Now, the only people who remember, because we're doing it here, there's only two people who know that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Mary Jane Watson and Doctor Strange. They were the only two who know for a little while. Eventually, more people found out. They got rid of organic web shooters. Yeah, they got rid of that stupid idea. Yeah, that was only comics about 2 years, and they're like, nope, we're getting rid of this thing. And let's see. We revived Harry Osborn. Harry Osborn is not. He's actually in here. Yeah, a guy who was dead for a good almost 20 years, and of course they undid his death. Yeah. Oh yeah, and this stupid quote. One moment at a time as the press exercises for Quesada with strong character work. Yeah. Character work by basically giving middle finger to everybody who actually liked the marriage of Spider-Man Mary Jane Watson. Me, I personally didn't mind it. I only have been reading comics at the time One More Day came out for 3 years. If you're wondering when the heck this came out, this came out in I believe it was 2010. Yep, 2010. This came out 8 years ago. Yep, 8 years. Roughly 3 years after One More Day. Randy, I'm still going to give 9 out of 10. And the story, I'm giving it 2 out of 10. Yeah, let's see, what else? Bringing back Harry Osborn was definitely a good idea. I had heard some really ridiculous things they had planned right afterwards. They were going to resurrect Gwen Stacy. That actually, some people probably, when some people heard that idea, were like, no, we're not bringing back Gwen Stacy. She's staying dead. Thank you for keeping a classic Jerry Conway story canon. Bringing back Harry Osborn, I'm not all that surprised they brought him back, especially back then. I mean, his death was back in Spectacular Spider-Man 200 of all things. Excuse me. Yeah, I think he'd been dead for about almost 30 years. He'd been dead for quite a while, so I guess for some people it wasn't very surprising, but there's been some character development with him since then. Not much. I mean, the best they've done with him is they hooked him up with a new girlfriend, who actually later became to be pregnant with his second child. Yeah, a son who he named Stanley. Yeah, this was not revealed to the Origin Species storyline. By the way, this came just before Origin Species. This came out like in between Grim Hunt and Origin Species. Yeah, so Origin Species is a lot better than this piece of garbage. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, we had Brand New Day, which was referencing the One More Day. Yeah, Brand New Day that lasted for, of course. Here's the thing about what happened with One More Day. Friend Neighborhood Spider-Man and Essential Spider-Man both were discontinued after this, and Amazing Spider-Man, the publication was one person that was a weekly title. No, it was not. It was actually a title published 3 times a month. Yep, 3 times a month. Yeah, 3 issues a month for like 3 years. No, seriously, this is how Marvel published Amazing Spider-Man. Publishing at least a good, let's see, I think of almost like 90 issues in like by 2009, the series had reached issue 600, and this was at I think it was at 545. So yeah, in a period of 2 years, the book had published almost 60 issues in 2 years, which is something. And then of course, right after Origin Species, the book was switched from coming out 3 times a month, shortened it down to twice a month. Eventually, Spider-Man did get other spin-off titles, and he would not get another spin-off ongoing series for quite some time. A second spin-off title. I would probably say that he would not get one again. I mean, there was some for some of his characters, like Venom got one in 2011. We also had one Silk, Spider-Woman. Well, the Jessica Drew one, she got one in 2014, I believe it was. But we would not get like a regular Spider-Man ongoing series. We did technically have Web of Spider-Man, but that was an anthology title. I'm talking about like regular ongoing, like kind of similar to Amazing Spider-Man doing his own thing. It would not be until Peter Parker Just Spectacular Spider-Man returned last year, we finally got returned to that. I mean, there's been some mini-series released for Spider-Man over the years. I mean, there was also like 3 anthology titles, some of whom didn't last very long. But none of it felt like basically a return to basically what Spider-Man was doing prior to that point. Publishing had 1 and 1 or 2 titles. Yeah, right now he's limited to appearing in just 2 titles. Amazing Spider-Man and Spectacular Spider-Man. As far as I know, I don't think he appears in any place else. He doesn't appear in Avengers. As a matter of fact, once Wade stopped writing the book, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, just stopped appearing in the damn book. Yeah, he's no longer in the book at all. As a matter of fact, he's not in any Avengers thing, despite him being an Avenger. Yeah. Trying to think there was anything else. Oh yeah. Now I normally would give Joe Quesada a middle finger, but I got in trouble last time. Basically, I got chastised for the middle finger. So Joe Quesada, don't ever pull crap like this ever again. As far as I know, he's limited his role in Marvel Comics. He's basically the chief creative officer of Marvel Comics, which is something a little odd for him to do, and people didn't like the fact he was acting like a giddy little fanboy whenever he showed up on Disney XD. But as some of the artists are still working in the industry today. Quesada, as far as I know, this is the only time he's actually written an entire storyline, and also this is probably the last comic he worked on, because I can't think of any other comic he's worked on since One More Time came out. Yeah, it's been a good 8 years, so there's that. I mean, I know specifically like to rant, but yeah, people have reviewed the death of both One More Day and not much One More Time, but basically One More Day. Yeah, here's my opinion. My overall opinion of One More Day. It's an awful storyline that has a stupid, forced retcon on everybody, and people still want this storyline to be undone. I do agree. Undoing the storyline would be a good idea, but you have to basically kind of explain why Peter has been seeing people like Mockingbird. Let's see. There's also Collie Cooper. Yeah, saw her briefly. Silk. It'd be kind of difficult, and I personally would love it if they start marriage and get married again. But for some reasons, mainly just the big two, and internet companies don't have a really big problem. They apparently have a thing against superhero marriages, but at least they had one recently in the case of the X-Men comics, so it's not the wedding they promised. Oh no, it was not the wedding they promised. Yeah, it was something else. But yeah. Two awful storylines. But this one's slightly better, but it just basically a reminder of how much people hate this storyline. Yes, a storyline that is nothing more than a piece of garbage. It is terrible, it is awful, and like I said, the only good about the storyline is the artwork. That's the only thing. Now, as far as I can tell for Peter Parker, now for Friendly Spider-Man, Peter David was writing that title prior to this particular story came out. Yeah, he was the writer. He wrote pretty much most of the entire first volume. As for Station Spider-Man, I think that was written by Paul Jenkins. I think he wrote it. I don't quote me on that, but I think he wrote it. That particular series, the numbering was a continuation of Marvel Knights Spider-Man, but overall, this only lasted about 19 issues. Yeah, not very long. Not as long as Friendly Spider-Man. It lasted about a few months longer. Yep. Not much else to say, but yeah, I reviewed two really awful storylines. Next episode, two really good storylines. Yep. I'm going from bad to good in the next episode, okay? But to see you there, bye.